Actually, it's below the cylinder.
Uh-oh.
It's down below. Whoops.
Needs a little bit, does it?
Needs water, but
Now that it's off.
yeah.
Well, it ran all day, right?
Yeah.
Now what's... All right, that's Ottawa. Does that mean Ottawa, Canada?
No, it's Ottawa. Ottawa, Kansas.
Kansas. And a drag saw, that was literally an old saw.
Yep. But they used to cut down a felled log in into different size chunks.
No kidding.
Well, this was one model they made. I have another model, which is a single flywheel.
Yeah.
And it's got counterweights by the connecting rod, and the right-hand side of the shaft is a gear, and the drag saw would be attached right to the drag saw. So that way the drag saw and the engine would be one unit instead of two separate units.
No kidding. You know, I saw one of these up in Albany on a saw. I didn't know what the hell it was. You know, there's a dealer up there that did a get-together. Do you actually have a saw?
I have the saw for one of them, but I haven't gotten it completely restored and back together yet.
Are you going to do that?
Yeah.
Are you local?
Town of Maine, New York, down near Binghamton.
Okay.
I hopefully am going to have the whole thing restored and operational down at the Maine show in August.
You like old saws?
I'm interested in the old saws.
Like the old home lights and things? Or you go further back into malls and distance and things like that?
That's where you lose me. I know the drag saws and I know the shingle mills, but that's about it.
Interesting. There's quite a lot of iron in that crank.
Yeah, and this is actually a light engine because the casting is only this thick up here through the hopper, and then these are hollow because they got little grooves in them, so they're in areas they're hollow, so it was just built to be light because it had to be hauled through the woods, and you didn't want something that weighed 500 pounds being dragged through the woods. It's bad enough with this being like 225.
Well, I think light's a relative thing.
Compared to some that I have, which are 3-horse, which is only 1 horsepower bigger than this, but double the size.
So that's 2-horse.
This is a 2-horse, yep.
Yeah, but those flywheels, once they get moving, probably can do a fair amount of work.
Oh, yeah.
So, out of curiosity, just some simple specs. What's the displacement on that? It looks like about a 4-inch bore. It's a lot of metal in that piston, too.
Yeah. Probably. There's one end. There's the other end.
Oh, that's a lot of stroke. I gotta think both sides, so you got about 6 inches.
Yeah.
So it's a long stroke engine.
Yeah.
And there's a camshaft and push rods for the valves.
Yep.
Oh my God, that thing's cool. Hang on, at the other side. You don't mind, do you?
No.
You don't mind if this pops up on YouTube at some point, do you?
Nope.
You sure?
Nope.
So that's some semblance of a carburetor?
Yep, that is the carburetor. Here's the primer and starting side, where you put gasoline in here. You get started, and then some of them, I can't remember if this is one or not, but some of them ran on kerosene. So, which I think this one is because of the style of carburetor. You'd start it off on gasoline, let it get warmed up, slowly start closing this needle valve, slowly opening this one, which you get kerosene going in, and then eventually this needle valve be shut off, this one be all the way open, so that way the whole engine will be running on kerosene. And when you wanted to shut it down, you do the opposite. You slowly let off the kerosene, slowly let on the gasoline, because you never wanted to shut the engine off on kerosene because then it'd take forever to start. I have an engine at home which is meant for kerosene, but I run on gasoline. But it's got that dual needle valve. Well, what they used to do back near the end of the steam era, when gasoline became more stable and they figured it out better, the farmers wouldn't trust the gasoline because it was new. They didn't trust it. They stayed with steam, which they knew worked. So what some of the gas companies would do, the engine companies, they'd make an engine look like a steam engine. They'd have a boiler, they'd have the whole engine sitting up on top, but it would be gasoline. So they tricked the farmers into thinking they got a steam engine when they actually got a gasoline engine. It was a crossbreed.
Hybrid.
And so once they figured out, oh, this is gasoline and it works, you know, and the ease of, oh, I just go out there, flip the flywheels and it starts, instead of I got to build a fire, got to keep water, fuel, stuff like that. That's how people shifted from the steam over to the gasoline.
So water cooled here literally means what, you fill that up with water?
Yep, and that's it.
And then it just sort of boils and bubbles, and or doesn't make enough heat to make it boil.
Oh, it boils.
Does
this
it?
thing will be rolling bubbles like you're boiling sap from a sap pan.
No kidding.
Rolling like crazy. I've cooked hot dogs in this hopper. I put them in a plastic bag, toss the bag in there, and put it in between the two wood pieces to keep the water from jostling everywhere. About 5-10 minutes later, perfectly steamed hot dogs. I've even put raw eggs in there in a bag. They got hard-boiled eggs on it.
So I was asking the gentleman over there, it'd be interesting to take something like this and just spin a AC Delco generator to keep batteries charged. And, you know, make a little deal. Now it's generating electricity. It probably doesn't use a whole lot of fuel. Probably quite efficient.
That tank will last a full day.
No kidding.
Just sitting here idle and not working, it'll last a full day. As soon as you put a load on it, it'll burn more fuel, but just sitting idling doing nothing, it'll run all day.
That's like what, a half a gallon?
If that. It's not the original tank, but it's a tank that worked.
So it's got to pull it up out of that tank, right?
Yep.
So what's it have, a diaphragm or something? How does it suck it out of there?
There's a needle valve. The intake valve will suck, and it'll pull up through, and there's a needle valve.
Oh, you're using the engine compression.
Yeah, the compression pulls it up and in, and the needle valve will pull up when it sucks, but when the valve closes and that pressure goes away, the needle valve drops down and seals it, so that way the gas doesn't just drain right back out of the line.
Very, very cool. And that's the ignition of some sort.
This?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the magneto. This creates the electrical current for the spark plug. Inside are coils and points in a condenser, and when this armature drops, it pulls the points apart and the magnets and makes that spark travels through the wire into the plug.
No kidding. I see that. So you just have the collapsing field to generate the spark.
Yeah, and when the cam gear moves, it's got to offset, so that way when it gets to that offset, it pushes this rod forward, and this drops right before this gets to the top of the stroke. So when it hits the top of the stroke,
that's how it times itself.
It goes bang and shoots it back.
Yeah, that's how it is. Simple engineering.
Yep. Compared to today where you have to have computers and everything else to make an engine run.
I guess you could put a belt on right there.
Yep.
So it wouldn't be hard to mount a generator.
Nope, not at all. I've seen people mount ice cream machines, generators, fans, water pumps, homemade concoctions.
I think it would be somewhat humorous and funny to, like I said, run an LC Delco and have that power up a battery, then have a converter, then sit over here with your computer. Mm-hmm. You know? Very cool. Well, this is interesting. I appreciate your time.
No problem. Always happy to explain it.
So, kind of scouting out for the get-together next week that Bob's coming up for, and I wanted to get rid of some of the beech trees that are choking out some of the good trees. And I was thinking about over those woods straight away from us. There's probably 4 or 5 acres that need to come down, and I didn't realize how much I need to take down simply in the Sugar Shack woods, the maple forest. This is what we call our middle field. And the hedgerow we've been working on is that direction. The landings we've been working on are that direction for a ways. But if you look right in front of me, there's a lot of that beech tree that needs to come down. They're weed trees for us. And you can see some cherry trees sort of mixed in, some ash trees mixed in. But what I need to do is to thin out a lot of these beech trees. get them down on the ground. There's just a lot of them in there. And let them start seasoning for firewood because they have a lot of moisture. They're a very dense wood with a lot of moisture. Here, I'll get out of the truck. We can walk in there a little ways so you can see. It's actually a pretty steep hill right there. Got the black flies out right now, but if you look at all those light colored trees, those are beech. The darker ones are cherry. This area really needs to be worked. Along the field here and into that woods right there. It really needs to get cleaned up. So I do believe that we don't have to get as far away from the landing as I thought in order to do this kind of work. Now, the kind of saws we're going to need are going to vary. You got a lot of these small trees right here that I use the 40cc saws on. But you get inside here a little ways and some of these trees are pretty good sized. You know? Boy, look at that cherry tree. It's a beautiful tree. Like that beech right there will come down right alongside. There's a whole bunch of them. We could be in here for months. I see some ash trees that need to come down as well. Probably going to do a video on just simply woodlot maintenance. It's actually quite a big tree right there. It's already beginning to leaf out. Wow, a lot of work. That one needs to come down right now. I think Bob and I are going to be quite busy. I saw a dead tree in here that needs to come down. But like this one here, once upon a time that was a good tree. But right now it's simply, well, it probably got hurt by fence. This one here got damaged by fence. See it? That's a hickory tree. And this is a cherry tree. It's actually quite large, but it's got internal problems. I don't know if it would actually be a good saw log. But a lot of this beech has to go away. The motorcycle trails right here. I might just come out here with a saw and start working. Like in there. That needs to come out. That dead tree needs to come down. These bigger beech trees need to come down to even give a maple tree a chance. They need some sunlight. Lots to do. I'll go post up a little video. But you know, I'd like to get the competition away from that ash tree. You know? Cherry tree. Even though it's not the best. It'll start seeding out more cherries. But with the beech stealing all the resource, they won't have a chance to grow. There's one right there. It'll be a nice tree someday if I can get the competition away from it. That's some decent sized beech, you know that? Wow. I don't think I can sell any of it because it's already going to blight. You know, it'll be firewood though. Like that big one right there. That's actually going to be quite a project. Yeah. I think we're going to get this one out of here. That'll be a project Bob and I can do. Notice it's got wire in it though, so got to be a little careful. That's where you have your spare chains. And we still have these over mature maples. That's a nice ash tree. There's an over mature maple right there. A cherry tree in there. But it looks to me like I've got lots and lots to do. What do you think? That's what, about 3 foot across? That'll make a big thump when it hits the ground. But it'll certainly open up a lot of canopy too. Look at this little cherry right here looking for light. Now, in order to get ready to another ash tree that needs to come down with wire in it, is I'm going to have to go over to the fence here and probably unclip and drop, you know, a lot of the wire. Just get it down on the ground so when the tree hits it, it won't break the plastic clips. Preparation for next week's get-together. Well, part of what makes a successful get-together is being able to both get there and get out. So we'll see how hard it is to get there's that tree right there. Look at that thing. Got a bunch of those old over mature maples that need to come down. A bunch of this beech that needs just to be clear cut before you can get a chance to grow. Kind of a ratty section of the woods that needs cleaned up, you know. Now this is actually a whole lot steeper than the camera is going to show. It's four-wheel drive for sure, but I don't know, 10% grade, maybe steeper. Some motorcycle trails in there. Come out there and go across. I'm not having any trouble getting out. And go along the field here. Now, if you've watched my channel, you've seen us go across this field with a tractor, and it actually is fairly steep. This corner of the woods needs to be worked on quite aggressively, I believe. So I think our next couple of get-togethers are going to be about dropping some of those trees and getting ready for next year and the year after as firewood. That beech is going to take quite a bit of time to season, you know. But anyway, back to the house.